All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We are very sorry for coming on so late. We are like 50 minutes behind time. We sincerely apologize. This was due to technical problems beyond our control. We want to get this started and welcome to our guests, Mr. Michael Gilman of Jide Hard Talk and Mr. Josh Lobbo of The Drive. Gentlemen, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, Jackson.
All right, and Mr. Lobbo is from the Drive, and we are going to be debating current issues in Liberia. Mr. Lobbo is a talk show host. He hosts The Drive, and I believe that's almost every day, very passionate about issues in Liberia. Once again, Mr. Lobbo, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my dear friend and brother. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Michael Gilman. Mr. Gilman is the host of Jide Hard Talk. Mr. Gilman, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Good evening, Mr. Dennis, and thanks for the invite. It's great to be on your platform once more to discuss Liberia in the most honest, factual, and excellent manner. I cannot be any more prouder than what I am right now. Thank you very much. And then let me say hi and greetings to every one of you watching the show here tonight. Hopefully we will dispel the falsehood, the innuendos, the lies. Like I've always said, I didn't have the time for my opening statement, right?
Not now. We'll come to that.
Okay.
Tonight,
that's why I was asking. I thought
tonight
that
it's a debate. It's a current issue debate. So, guys, I want to really thank you for coming. I know you have your own platform, so we are honored to have you to share your views, your thoughts on or focus on Liberia.
Right.
And I want to welcome all our guests, all our viewers across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia, and we'll be discussing current issues. The style of the debate tonight is the Lincoln Douglas style debate. So what's going to happen, I'm going to give each of you 2 minutes for your opening statement. And for the opening statement, I want you to, I will give you a question for your opening statement. After that, I'm going to, throughout the debate, I'm going to make a statement. I would like for you to respond to it one after another. So I will make a statement. For example, Mr. Lobbo will respond to the statement. Mr. Gilman will respond. Then Mr. Lobbo will come back with his rebuttal. And then Mr. Gilman will come back with another rebuttal, all for 1 minute, 30 seconds. Then we move on to the next issue. We want to exhaust like 8 or 10 different issues before we start bringing in our audience with their questions. So for your opening statement, I want to say, what is your general feel of current issues in Liberia? What are some of the sticky issues and how can they be resolved? We did a coin toss, and Mr. Gilman, you go first to tell us your feel about current issues in Liberia and what are some of the sticky points and how can this issue be addressed? 2 seconds, and I'm the timekeeper.
2 seconds? Gone already.
No, 2 minutes. Sorry.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Well, thank you very much. And again, good evening to all of you watching this broadcast tonight. You all know me. I am the host of Jide Hard Talk. The issue in our country is one that has been based since the inception of this government, that has been based on falsehood, lies, innuendos, such that you'll hear my colleague on here tonight talk about the president is inept, the officials are corrupt, the government is piled up with thieves and rogues and what have you. But what you will not hear him talk tonight is to tell you that he's been at Arizona State University for over 12 years, have not graduated, have not earned an associate degree. He is an employee or teller at Wells Fargo Bank, and he claimed to be a banker, just a teller. But I can tell you, the president at Comerica Bank started off in a mail room as a mail carrier for the bank. And he went to school, educated himself, and got to become president of Comerica Bank. So, Mr. Lobbo, I hope you will tell us tonight his credentials Because I come to this with degrees in accounting, in business administration, and community development. What has he brought to the table? These lies have got to stop with this conversation tonight. Let's be factual and honest, such that you will leave from here benefiting from these discourses tonight. And so I have come just to do that, to talk truth, to speak honestly, excellently, and of course, to provide you information and education. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Lobbo, your opening statement, I want us to tell me what's your general feel about current events in Liberia? What are some of the sticky issues and how can these issues be resolved?
First and foremost, Mr. Dennis, I want to begin by saying thanks to you and to all the Liberians who have tuned in today. Before I make my statement, let me take this time to remember one of Africa's fallen heroes, to the people of Zimbabwe, to the family of Robert Mugabe. I want to extend my sincere condolences to that family, our deepest sympathy. As we know, Mugabe was a father and a hero in African politics. With regards to where we stand in Liberia today, I come to you not only disappointed, but I'm heartbroken, understanding that in our country today, there's total breakdown of the institutions, there's increased violence, rampant corruption, there's lack of distrust in the society. What I come to bring forward is the increasing hardship on our people. My obligation here today is to be able to bring this forward and to talk about issues of national concern and be able to inform our people using the facts that are available to us. However, what I would not do is to demean myself, is to reduce myself to personal attacks. What I also take this opportunity to say to all Liberians, in as much as we ask our government to be responsible, we expect that every single citizen will be respectful of each other and will know how to address each other. What got us in this position today is the fight of dishonesty. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to do just that to the Liberian people. And my wish is that as things are unfolding in Liberia, there's increasing hardship. Our hospitals can no longer function. Our government is in a state of collapse. Our country, once again, is heading backwards. Having gone through the difficulties of our time, it is unfortunate in this 21st century that young people continue to struggle for daily bread. And that is why I'm here to do today and to hold our government accountable. And I want to say thank you for this opportunity. And once again, to our brothers and sisters in Zimbabwe, we want to say our sympathy to you and for the falling of Mr. Robert Mugabe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lobbo. Now we begin the debate, and this is similar to the Lincoln Douglas style. And what I will do, as I said previously, I'm going to give a statement, and I will let you respond to it. So from the coin toss, Mr. Lobbo, you go first, and this is the statement. President Weah should be held morally responsible for the violence in District Number 15 by election. Mr. Lobbo.
Mr. Dennis, first and foremost, President Weah is responsible for whatever will happen in the country. As we are aware, President Weah took an oath on January 22nd, 2018 to defend and protect the Constitution. President Weah is the head of the executive branch of government, which is charged with the constitutional responsibility of enforcing the Constitution. So when there's lawlessness in the country, the police director is appointed by the president, who work at the will and pleasure of the president. If the police cannot protect lives and property under his administration, President Weah is responsible. It is President Weah's obligation to protect every single Liberian, regardless of tribe, political affiliation, regardless of your religious background. It is his obligation. He is whatever district in Liberia, in whatever town, whatever community.
There's a technical difficulty from Mr. Lobbo. So
Sorry, I don't know what happened. The system just, can you get me now? The system went off.
Yes, we get you now. So
Yeah.
So go ahead. You got 30 more seconds.
So, Mr. Dennis, I just want to be very, very clear. President Weah took an oath to defend the Constitution. President Weah has an obligation to protecting all Liberians. What happened in District 15 was unfortunate, and our heart goes out to those people who got hurt, to Tella Ure and her entire supporters. I want to say that this is what happened. We hope that our president will be responsible, that our president will take action, that our president will hold those responsible accountable for their actions, that the police director will be able to do what he's supposed to do. And on that note, I want to say, whatever will happen during his tenure, President Weah bears full responsibility of that. And therefore, he should be held liable for whatever happened in District 15. It is his responsibility. So yes, he is responsible.
Thank you. Mr. Gilman.
Yeah. Again, thanks. It is unfortunate that our country will have to go through these hard times of violence. We detest violence to its core, wherever it happens, wherever it occurs. We detest that. But what must be told here is, what are the root causes of these violence, especially District 15, as you made reference to? We saw my colleague here, Lobbo, will run all over the place and place blame without calling for investigation, just as he will not respond to what credentials he has as he runs all over the place in the car talking politics in Liberia. He come here with no facts, with no credentials. So you will see him jumping all over the place. Now, what must be done here? We must understand the group of opposition political parties went to work and said they will wage a radical response if a radical approach, if Tella Ure is not declared winner. What did we see? A car belonging to that group was arrested with rocks in it. The senator that was just elected, Lobbo is spokesman for, was asking the police, should I tell my people to throw rocks so that you move into action? So an investigation will tell exactly what happened, who was responsible in district number 15. We saw a bulletproof car being used to provide cover for people to throw stones.
All right, Mr. Gilman, your time is up. Mr. Lobbo, your rebuttal.
Let me be very frank here with you, Dennis. What I hope to do is to be able to provide factual information and be very respectful of Mr. Gilman. But since Mr. Gilman decided to lay himself in the mud, I will go ahead and do that for him. Mr. Gilman, as you claim to have a master's degree, let me set the record straight for your understanding.
I did not say I have a master's degree. I did not say that.
No interruption, sir.
Yeah. No.
Mr. Gilman, since you choose to reduce yourself and bring yourself to public ridicule, let me do that for you. For your information, I graduated from the Phoenix College in 2013 with an associate degree in business, and I transferred to Arizona State University. At Arizona State University, I entered the W.P. Carey School of Business, where I am a graduating senior with 2 classes left, majoring in business with interest in public service and public policy. And just for your understanding, if you have a degree, that is a disgrace to whatever institution you went to. Because the last time I checked, there's no way a man makes it to university without graduating from community college. So get your facts straight. And let's get to the issue here. You ran around about what happened to Election Commission. The statement was about District 15. What happened to Election Commission is not District 15. That is in District number 9. If you don't know the geographic location or the district separations of Monserrato, I ask that you go back and begin to read. But let me say this to you. My job here is not to come and get back and forth with Gilman. The Liberian people have come to listen to us, to articulate the issue, to point out the ills in society, to be able to hold government accountable, because the government is responsible to protect lives and property. When the government, Mr. Gilman, I know you said you have management background.
Thank you,
manager
Mr. Lobbo.
of the organization, and that's it.
Mr. Lobbo, your time is up. Gilman, your final rebuttal on this issue.
First and foremost, I did not tell you or this audience that I have a master's degree. No, I don't. I said I have a degree in accounting. I have a degree in business administration. I have a degree in community development, emphasis in public administration. All right. I doubt it. I get Lobbo. You work at a bank or Wells Fargo as a teller, and you run around here claiming to be an economist, a banker, and what have you. These are the folks who ruin our economy under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. The question is about District 15. My response was very appropriate to District 15. And I said it diligently. Stone throwing happened at District 15. It happened at the elections headquarters, but the question was specific to District 15. What led to District 15? The radical approach that was announced by the opposition. Should Taylor Ure not declare winner of District 15? So you will see him running around. This young man stayed over 12 years at Arizona State University, has not graduated. He does not have a degree in anything. He did not graduate from no community college. He did not. All right? The records are there. We can display them on TV here tonight for everybody. Okay? You do not have a degree in anything, Lobbo. You don't. You work as a teller at the bank. And I give you credit for that.
Thank you. All right. Let's hit the reset button. I wanted for us to go to the issue. Let us not engage in any form of personal attack on degrees or whatsoever. Again, let me set the record straight. This interview or this debate was suggested by our fans when Mr. Lobbo reached, and I was asked to make this clarification. I contacted both Mr. Lobbo and Mr. Gilman to appear because my audience wanted them. After I've seen the two of them on my show on Focus on Liberia, they wanted them to come and discuss. Mr. Lobbo has reached out to me on a different issue to appear on Focus on Liberia and as a response to the Deputy Minister of Information. And I suggested to him that our viewership wanted a face-to-face, because the two of you understand the issue. You have discussed them lengthily, and we wanted to have you to do this. So as we go to the issue, I want us to stick to the issue because we don't have time. We have 1 minute, 30 seconds to respond. We want our audience to get the best out of it so that we can bring them in to interact with you. Let's go to the next issue, and Mr. Gilman, you will start. The proliferation of advocates in Liberia, especially on the social media, is due to bad governance of the Weah-led administration.
I said no to that. It's not due to the bad governance of the administration. You will recall before or during the heat of the 2017 elections, there were groups that formed all over the place. Never Weah. After the election, Weah come down, and despite they went into coalition to go against the ruling Unity Party, of which George Lobbo supported, benefited from forever, without anything to show, despite the billions that came into the country. They said, never Weah. And it is the message that they continue to preach. It's not advocacy, because advocates in the first place are people who pride themselves with honesty, with consistency, with leadership, all of which are not seen in these folks. They are not honest. They are not consistent. They don't have the leadership. You see it in them every day. You will see the inconsistencies here with George Lobbo tonight. He will jump from place to place, and like a caught-haired chicken, will not stick to the issue. He will tell you the government is corrupt, the government is inept, the government are thieves, and all of that without any evidence to suggest. He will talk to you that he supported protests, We are calmed down. He will tell you tonight he does not support protests anymore because nothing was yielded in those several protests they held.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Lobbo, the proliferation of advocates in Liberia, I think you heard the question, your response.
Basically, let me say real clear, Mr. Dennis here, first of all, let me clear some things here. Mr. Gilman continuing to maliciously lie to the public, like he's continuously done. Mr. Gilman, I have never worked for Wells Fargo as a teller. Let me help you understand. I worked for Wells Fargo as a mortgage consultant. It was never about work as a teller. So get your facts straight. That is what the GD hard topic is built upon. It's predicated on lies and deception. So you need to read. If you're going to engage me, read. You have not read, let's leave that. I know your intention is to distract our attention from the real issues. Here's why there are more activists or advocates around today. Many Liberians expected this government to be the government of change. Many Liberians thought that George Weah would be that guy who would come and serve as a correction. It has been disappointing, frustrating, and heartbreaking to many Liberians. And given the speed at which President Weah is proceeding, many young people, many Liberians have decided to get involved in pointing out the ills and poor performance and bad governance of the CDC-led government. As you know, Mr. Dennis, there is currently an economic dialogue ongoing in Monrovia. The reason is to find a solution. What I'm sitting here and listening to Mr. Gilman spill out today is telling me about somebody who has nothing to talk about, but find excuses for his escape. Mr. Gilman, if you want to leave this discourse, you can ask for an excuse and leave. But in actuality, I expect you to propound to the issues. And the issues are clear. This government has failed. This government is disappointment. This government is an embarrassment to our people. And that's why we have more advocates pointing them out.
Thank you. Mr. Gilman, your response.
Yeah, first and foremost, out of the box, I said this man worked as a teller. It would take him 20 minutes to respond to say no, because he just got communicated. Somebody just sent him a text to come back to say that he was promoted as a mortgage consultant, whatever. But the fact remains here, as a community organizer or advocate, you have to first understand your community. You got to educate yourself on the community's needs. You have to learn what your community actually wants. The people that live there, investigate these issues, bring the community together into a meeting, discuss the issue, take leadership. After all of that is done, then you begin to advance. I don't go to the media and what have you. But what do we see? We see the mushrooming of everybody. You're in the car, you get a talk show. You sitting at home, you walk in the street, you are a community organizer, you are an advocate. Something that have damaged our young people. There's falsehoods that are paraded every day by these folks who don't understand what advocacy is about. Advocacy is honesty, is leadership, is consistency. You don't see it in these books.
Mr. Lobbo, your final rebuttal on the issue.
Mr. Gilman, for the records, this is my business card. It does not say teller. So here's my business card. Okay? I was hired December 7th, 2015. That's when I started work. Once again, I've proven to the people that you are a pathological liar. I'm sorry to say, but that's who you are. And let's get to the issue. If you want to get mad at advocates, and let me set the record straight again, Mr. Gilman. You claim that I benefited from the Unity Party government. Mr. Gilman, it is a shame. And I challenge any Unity Party official since 12 years in power. Never have I received one single US dollar from any Liberian government official. I challenge any Liberian, anywhere around the world. I did not benefit from government scholarship. I did not benefit from government directly, indirectly, not at all. So, Mr. Gilman, you are a pathological liar. That's true. Mr. Dennis is clear. The reason we have more advocates today, it is simple. So that we do not sit back and allow Gilman and the many other pay agents and surrogates of this government to continue to lie to our people, to continue to misinform our people, So if we sit back and do nothing, we will have people like Gilman running the streets, consistently lying to our people, misinforming our people with their fictional narratives in as much as they can be able to get something from the government. So this is why you have a lot of advocates today who are holding Gilman accountable and exposing these corrupt pay agents, greedy hustlers.
Thank you.
And that is why there are more advocates today.
Thank you. Mr. Lobbo, this one, having a tuition-free public colleges and university was not well thought out and ought to be discontinued.
Mr. Dennis, is very simple.
No, hold on, oh yeah, Mr. Lobbo, yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
Mr. Dennis, is very simple. Just for Mr. Gilman understanding, let me help you again, Mr. Gilman. I told you I'm a graduating senior at Arizona State University, majoring in business with interest in public service and public policy. So majoring in business gives me the overview of accounting, management, finance, and economics. I did accounting 300, sir. So I can speak to accounting. I did finance 300 plus. I can speak to finance. If for you, when you went to school and didn't read well, that's your fault. So I have the ability to speak to this issue. Here's what I will tell you. Let's come to the policy perspective. Before you roll out a policy, Mr. Dennis, you must first and foremost do an investigation. The policy must be well thought through, because policy that involve national concern, like that one that was rolled out, you need the national legislature approval, because to continue to allocate funding for public universities, you cannot roll out such a policy because you got drunk at the Jamaican resort. You cannot roll out such a policy proposal because someone recommended something to you. Did you investigate? What would be some of? You need a comprehensive educational reform. That is what we need. Such a policy. We need to focus on primary education. You have teachers. We cannot pay teachers. We do not have qualified high school teachers. How are we going to fuel people to send them to university? So we'll have free university, but no student will come from high school to go there. So this policy will die. And it's been very clear, the government is already broke. The government lacks the capacity to be able to withstand such policy. The government cannot support it.
Thank you.
And thank God,
Thank you, Mr. Gil, and you will come back with your remote, Mr. Gilman.
Yes, sir. You want to go over? No?
Yeah, the having a tuition-free public colleges and university was not a well thought out plan and ought to be discontinued.
Well, that's the mindset and the thought process of the opposition, the Never We Are movement, and folks like George Lobbo, that it should be discontinued. But you've seen what happened with the tuition-free scheme that was launched by the government. You saw what happened with the wax exams, the payment of extra Saturday classes fees by the government, increase in number of students that pass. All right, 33% compared to 90% that failed in Sierra Leone, over 90%, something that George Lobbo and others always talk about. Sierra Leone is better than Liberia. You know, let me say something here. What government will go to launch an educational program like that without it being taught out? What institution will do that? You saw during the launch of that program, the gentleman from LU, you saw what he said. He was invited by the president. They discussed the issue. And they went to work and decided to launch the scheme. These folks like Lobbo and others who got the students on the streets protesting are the ones that are saying it's not a good thing, because they don't want to keep the students in school. They want to brainwash the students that they're going to put them on scholarships and pay them little monies here and there. Instead of them going to school, no, they want to continuously have 10 persons, 15 persons on scholarship, and then they're going to come say, I did a great service. When the country is ought to do that, Article number 2 of our Constitution provides for that everybody should be accorded affordable education, if not free.
Thank you. Mr. Lobbo, your final rebuttal.
Mr. Dennis, I will let the Liberian people to judge for themselves. Mr. Gilman claims to be very informed. It's a disappointment to the public that Mr. Gilman is sitting here and not even being informed. The president of the University of Liberia, Mr. Gilman, testified before the Liberian Senate. And in her testimony to the Liberian Senate said that since the pronouncement of this particular plan, that the university have been running at a deficit. You claim to be a man with an accounting background and a public administration degree. If you understand what it means for a university to be running at a deficit, I want you to explain that to the Liberian people today. But here's what I would say on that, Dennis. When you roll out policies like that, what I have said consistently, we need a comprehensive educational reform. What I mean by comprehensive, it looks at the hiring process of qualified teachers. It also looks at the incentive provided to teachers. It looks at the advancement opportunities for those teachers that we hire. It looks at other incentives we can provide to make the fee attractive so that competent and qualified librarians can want to come into it. So I'm not here to discuss these on the table suggestions and here and there. Mr. Gilman, as educated as you claim to be, my expectation here is that you put forth some of these ideas so Liberians can listen to you, because you are some of the educated people that are misleading our people. The university president is telling the university is running at a deficit. In last year's budget, the University of Liberia did not even receive 50% of our allotments. $16 million allotments, they did not receive 50%. And right now we saw students protesting. The university is struggling, and you are yet trying to lie to the people. But this is what Gilman does on a Judea hard topic. So I can't really get myself down to it. I will allow the Liberian people to continue to listen to us, and they will be the judge for themselves. I'm not here to talk about who I am and what I've done.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lobbo. Your time is up. Mr. Gilman, your final rebuttal on this issue.
In August, in July of 2017, the Front Page Africa reported a massive 41 million deficit. The United States CIA will report that the 2017 budget of the Salif, his uncle government, a budget of 626.1 million, they overspent by 727.6 million. They will suffer that 41 million deficit, which Ellen Salif said any government that come into being will suffer. There's a lot of hardship ahead. The students were protesting when university instructors or faculty members were receiving their pay, were in consultation with government to go back to class. They're telling the students, let's go back to class. The students said, no, we will protest for you guys, because George Lobbo and others told them to do just that. Bring the government down. Do all you can to make it seem ungovernable. You know, he talks about deficit at LU. Is LU part of the national? All right, the national budget. Are they part of the national budget? If they are, a part of a part is a part of a whole. So if the national government suffer 101.5 million excess expenditure not accounted for in the budget, 101.5 million, and then another 41 million, what do you expect of the government that will come in without any money to operate with?
Thank you.
There, 9 million was what was left for them to operate.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are having a debate on current issues using the Lincoln Douglas style. We want to go to the next issue, and I will bring you in, Mr. Gilman. The cancellation of the 3 days free call, or the $1 per 3-day calling plan. The cancellation is economically justifiable. Your response.
First and foremost, those 3 days calls, they were not free. It was a promotion that outlived its usefulness. All right. They were not free. People pay for them. Whether you pay $1, you pay 50 cents, you pay $2. It was not free because nothing is free. All right. What did we see today? The cell phone providers are issuing apologies. All right. Because they didn't do what was planned by they and the LTA, the government side. In the first thing here is Ben-Nayure, the owner or part owner, co-owner of Lone Star Cell, wrote the Salif government in 2016 to drop this thing. All right, they did, and they kept pushing for it. They kept pushing for it. Is the timing right? I said no, the timing is not right because they should have first provided education for the people, the consumers. All right, but that does not mean that a business is for profit. And if you are making profit, you pay a fair share of taxes, something that Lobbo colleague is not doing. He runs the biggest radio, Roots FM, have not paid taxes. Government is suffering. So here we are, the same communication business. And who's the co-owner to Roots Lone Star Cell? His godfather, Ben-Nayure.
Thank you. Mr. Lobbo.
Mr. Dennis, I have never questioned any Liberian's credential, but for Mr. Gilman, who holds a degree in communication, I want to say that I'm not only disappointed that he lacks the ability to effectively communicate. You cannot even articulate any of the questions you've been asked today. But let me get to the issue. The issue of the 3 days free call, it was never justifiable because guess what, Mr. Dennis? We are in a slow economy with inflation at 23% and above. No government in a responsible 21st century world raises taxes during a slow economy. The Liberian government, led by George Weah, an unprepared candidate, decided to raise taxes to increase revenue. But what the government didn't understand is that the cell phone companies, the 3 days free call were promotions they gave. Those promotions drove their sales. Mr. Gilman, that is a sales strategy. It is not the government prerogative. It is not the government business to tell if the company had to sell, sir. If the people want to get free 10 days call, that their business. The responsibility of the business, their goal is to maximize profit. So they decided to offer those incentives so as to attract more consumers. Now, unfortunately for the Popo government, an irresponsible, reckless government that have increased wasteful spending, looking for money, decided to level taxes against the companies. Now, what happened, Mr. Gilman, since you don't understand simple economics, like you said, the last time I checked, the burden is passed down to the consumer. Yeah.
Your time is out, and that's why I want us to go directly to the issue so that we can use our 1 hour, 1 minute, 30 seconds effectively. Mr. Gilman.
No, I'm fine. I will, in my report, I will conclude.
You heard me clearly. Now he's telling me that I have a degree in communication. I never said that. I said, let me go over that again. I have a degree in accounting, in business administration, in community development. Community development is not communication. Get it straight. These are the lies that are being told to our folks, all right? By people who sit in the car and say that they are doing a drive show, and they park at a garage every day, the same garage every day, and they say they are doing a drive show. When you see a drive show, you know one, not one that sits in the garage, okay? And apparently, he came from that school of thought where the former vice president was parked in the garage and did nothing. They squandered the wealth of the country. They squandered a whole lot of opportunities. And this government, he talks about the PAPD, the Pro-Poor Agenda for Prosperity and Development. That you will hear him talk about it. It's dead. Rest in peace. All right? These folks went to work, organized themselves into Council of Patriots, called for what is happening or what closed today in our country, the economic dialogue. Were they there? Lobbo will tell you, now he's changing his tone. But today on his show, he said nothing will come out of that dialogue. Nothing. But he's referencing it tonight, that a lot of stuff going on.
Thank you. Mr. Lobbo, your final rebuttal on this issue?
My final rebuttal on this issue, I expected Gilman to justify the government action of increasing taxes on cell phone company in a slow economy. He could not do that. So let's leave that. Let me say this. So the business goal is to maximize profit. And the government needs to understand that when you level taxes against businesses, consumers are the ones that pick up the tab. Consumers are the ones that take that burden. The extra expenditure is passed down to the consumers. So the Liberian government was not smart. In a slow economy like this, you do not raise taxes. You raise taxes, it affected the Liberian people. It took away their 3 days call. And I want to say to the Liberian people, this is a government elected to represent you. This is the pro-poor government. Some of those Liberians use those 3 days free call to ask to call their families abroad, taking away that opportunity, taxing the cell phone company. It is irresponsible, reckless, and wicked. This government have never been in the interest of the people and will not be. So Mr. Gilman can continue to run around and spill all kinds of lies that he's been doing. Mr. Gilman, the jihad topic is predicated and was built on lies. You have performed that today. You have justified that to the Liberian people, and I don't need to do it anymore. I will continue to allow you to expose yourself, and the Liberian people will make the decision when we leave from here today. That's all I will do. Thank you.
Thank you. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you, let's stick to the issues so that we can get a lot, because I watched your show. You are the both of you are very knowledgeable about ongoing issues in Liberia. You discuss them at length. So I want more of that on the show instead of talking about each other. Let's go to the next issue and I will go to you first, Mr. Lobbo. The ongoing economic dialogue in Liberia is the solution to stabilizing the Liberian economy and bringing about economic growth. Mr. Lobbo.
First and foremost, Mr. Dennis, let me be very clear with what I've said consistently. I said that dialogue is dead. That dialogue is a waste of resources because Mr. Gilman, who has a degree in public administration, if you know what the government is elected, if you know the function of the finance minister, the central bank governor, that dialogue in itself just tells us that the government is incapacitated. According to the president, the dialogue is intended to find solutions to Liberia's economic problem. So why do we have a finance minister? What is the goal of a central bank governor? You see, that dialogue will be implemented by George Weah. That dialogue will be implemented, the recommendations will be implemented by the finance minister. Who is the finance minister? Samuel Tuwe. The man who infused 25 million and cannot account for it. Governor Nathaniel Petre, who told the world that our 16 billion was not missing, only for the core report to come and contradict him, thereby making him an indictee in the $16 billion saga. So to me, you know, look, Mr. Dennis, I don't want to waste the Liberian people's time. But Mr. Gilman, when you leave this show, I want you to take a look at the photos. The finance minister will fall asleep because he himself is a clear indication that he knows that nothing will come out of it. This government have been very irresponsible. The World Bank have been warning this government since this government came into office. They have not done nothing. The World Bank worked on solutions, told the government to embark on fiscal discipline, reduce their wage bill, cut wasteful spending.
Thank you, Mr. Lobbo.
So that dialogue is just a waste of resources.
Mr. Gilman.
Well, thank you very much. And I like that he has picked it back to his statement on his show this morning, because first he referenced the dialogue that he was concerned about it, and that's why he wanted to talk about. But if nothing will come out of it in your second part, why reference it in the first part? Okay, Greece, a country in Europe, suffer economic difficulties, and they had to put out austerity measures. They had to hold these dialogues and conferences to restart their economy. America, when Obama took over, had a depression, and he had to reboot the economy. They had their conversations. So for a country like Liberia, who still depends on handout to be faced with economic difficulties, and when you yourself in your June 7 protest presented over 15 counts on the economy, to hold these dialogues, to immediately call for a conference on these dialogues, and today you kick against it. That's the irony. But on the issue of the $25 million, and he mentioned the Kroll report, I have it right here in my hand. All right. Let me read what it says about independent physical cash verification. In the first place, the whole 25 million, according to the Kroll report, was not exhausted. A total of 15 million was used first, and then another 5 million. The second 5 million or third 5 million was never used. It says the CBL provided Kroll with a spreadsheet titled USD during auction dated October 26, 2018. We set out the total purchases of legacy and new banknotes as part of USD mop-up exercise. All right. The table shows.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Mr. Lobbo, your final on this topic.
Let me help Mr. Gilman here. It is true the Kroll report said 15.5 million was used. Mr. Gilman, the Kroll report contradicted your president, and I'm going to challenge you in this open public forum to go back to President Weah address to the nation during the State of the Union this year in 2019. President Weah said 17 million was used. The Kroll report came out in February, which contradicted the president's lies. But Mr. Gilman, that is what you guys know how to do. So I'm not going to get there. Here's my statement on the issue of the dialogue. Mr. Dennis, if at all the Liberian government led by George Weah knew what needed to be done, we would not have this dialogue. Let's look at Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is not having a dialogue. My point for saying it is a waste of resources. We have hospitals that cannot even move an ambulance to get a pregnant woman to the hospital. We have hospitals across the country that do not have MRI machines. For the UNDP to hold a dialogue, to set people down to waste to find solution, when we pay a finance minister and a central bank governor, it is a disappointment. And Mr. Gilman, I hope when you read with comprehension. When Barack Obama took over in America, Barack did not hold a dialogue. What Barack did, he appointed Brian Meneke and Timothy Gardner. Those were the guys that helped to revive a dialogue. Greece did not hold a dialogue. The European Union had a discussion on how they could waive Greece debt. They did not hold a dialogue for Greece. When John Magufuli took over in Tanzania, he did not hold a dialogue because he came prepared. It is disappointing that the Pope of Ghana is dead, and I want to inform the Liberian people to die.
Thank you, Mr. Lobbo. Mr. Gilman, your final rebuttal on this.
What is more bad? Contradicting yourself or somebody contradicting you? George Lobbo said 25 million. Now he's saying 15 million. You see the lies and the false information? All right. What is bad and desperate to make it seem like, yes, 25 million was used. Now you come back to saying, no, I agree with the Kroll report that it wasn't 25 million. What is that? But here is it. The Kroll report was clear. Go to page number 56 at the top. All right. The CBL stated that sterilized banknotes were stored in operational vault 1. Kroll observed that the sterilized banknotes were also stored in the headquarters. All right. The money is there. He talked about Nat Petrie. Nat Petrie told us in October that the money that came into the bank, he had it, and Kroll went and verified it. So what is that? You want to force a crime that did not exist, and that's the problem. Those are the lies they always told to our people. He talking about reading with comprehension. I hope you will read little by little, small first. And if you don't understand, go back and read again. Read about 3 times before you try to comprehend what they are really talking about. Because again,
thank you.
You're not there yet.
Thank you. Let's stay on the issue of the economy. Let's go to salary harmonization. And we have 2 more of these, and then we bring in our audience. Salary harmonization is one right step in the right direction. Mr. Gilman, you go first.
This is another thing that was first suggested to the Salif Boakai government. They ran away from it because they didn't have the guts to cut people wages, the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that they paid people. This government inherited the payroll, the wage bill. They inherited it. And they are taking on themselves based on leadership and the right thing to do. The Council of Patriots proposed in their economic plan or suggestions, there should be a salary cut. All right? You heard Darius Dillon, who Lobbo was spokesman for or continued to be spokesman when he went, did not even know how much he will be making, decided to take only $5,000. Other senators are sitting there. They will not cut their pay. They took $97 million in telephones, scratch card, and gasoline. And you heard the finance minister, I have not taken any gas slips. You heard the deputy information minister on my show, on Jide Hard Talk. And Lobbo, it's not Jide Hard Topic, it's Jide Hard Talk. All right? See and read with comprehension. You heard him say here, they don't take gas slips, they don't have it. All right? So it's the right thing to do. Harmonize the salary. We cannot have a driver at transport ministry and a driver at finance development planning making $1,500 and a driver at transport ministry making $200. That's not fair. All right? So
thank you.
Right.
Mr. Lobbo.
Mr. Dennis, I mean, let me be very clear here today. The wage harmonization is unacceptable, it's cruel, it's wicked, it's irresponsible. What happened was clear. The IMF told the CDC government, those recommendations, Mr. Gilman, that you're referring to was made by the World Bank representative to Liberia, one Mr. Bokai. Pronunciation might be different, but Mr. either Bokeh or Bokai, whatever his name is. And in his recommendation to the government was that the government reduce its rising wage bill, sir. They didn't say increase. If Mr. Gilman's math is correct, and if his education makes sense, I want Mr. Gilman to come back in rebuttal and help the Liberian understand. If we all agree that the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf wage bill was $296 million when the CDC came into office, the CDC wage bill of 2018-2019 was $330 million. The current CDC wage bill after harmonization sits at $312 million. I want Mr. Gilman to help us understand the math. How you go from 296 to 330 to 312. That is something that will be left for Mr. Gilman understanding. Here is why the wage harmonization is weakened. When our argument have not been that government must not cut wasteful spending. What we have said, in a slow economy with 23% inflation rate, Mr. Gilman, inflation means money that was worth more yesterday is worth less today. So for instance, a nurse who was making $300 yesterday, her $300 is worth less today. We are saying that what the government needed to do, instead of bringing a bunch of sedition and fueling government payroll, first you should have gotten them out of the payroll, take them out. Then you go to the payroll and begin to take out excessive waste. That's what we said.
Thank you. Mr. Gilman.
Yeah, it's good. We are discussing the economy, and Lobbo is here talking about what he knows best to spill the lies. Let's look at how we got here in the first place. All right, we had the country reserve up to 2016 was $528,663,000 in 2016. And that fluctuated between 2016 and 2000. In 2000, after the wars and all of that, we were at $267,708. All right? 2016, 528,000 reserves, 663 million. In what happened when George Weah took over? 2018, 150 million. These are the folks that caused the problem for the country. This government is only trying to fix it. All right? They inherited $9 million for operations in January. But 6 months after, Henry Costa is blasting at Darius Dillon and telling him, you think are here to waste time? The government, you think that the government inherited broken economy and all of that? So from January to now, government is paying August salaries. Don't we give them a pat on the back? They inherited a bad economy in the first place. And all they are doing is to make sure that the Liberian people survive during these difficult times. So they deserve a pat on the back. The wage harmonization, he called it dangerous and all of that.
Thank you.
It was recommended by the COP also. Go and read the COP paper.
Thank you. Mr. Lobbo, your final rebuttal on this issue.
Once again, Mr. Gilman have spilled a lot of numbers here today. I wish some of them were factual. I will not get into his numbers because he comes from the Eugene Fagon numbers line. So I will not waste my time on it. But here's what I would say, Mr. Gilman. On the issue of the reserve, when the Unity Party government inherited Liberia in 2006, our national reserve was 6.5 million. When we gave Liberia to the CDC government on January 22nd, 2018, we handed Liberia over with a reserve of $154.8 million. That is what it was. We cannot give you a country with 20 million and you withdrew 25 million from our reserve for the infusion. Technically, Mr. Gilman, you have not read sufficiently. I don't know where you come from with your mouth. But let me say this once again on the issue of the wage harmonization. What needed to happen was we have been proposing that the government needs to look at there are some offices. You have 10 persons in one office. Some of those people, they are not necessary to be there. What we are saying is the guys who make above 5,000, we believe the government should focus on cut on the top 50% because those are the bottom. As a result of inflation, their money is worth less now. This is why the wage harmonization is hurting nurses, it's going to hurt teachers, it's going to hurt civil servants, people at the bottom. Our argument have not been that wage harmonization is not a good thing. But when wage harmonization takes place, and only the people that make 200 and 300 are affected, while the big boys that make the 15,000, 13,000, 7,000 are not affected, that is unjustifiable. That is wrong. That is irresponsible. That is not good governance. That is not good policy to bring out to the people. Mr. Gilman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Lobbo. I was second to the last issue. And
don't I have a reporter? I didn't rebut.
No, you started this conversation.
You started.
Oh, okay.
I hope. So this time, Mr. Lobbo is going to start this one. And here is the statement. The Salif administration shares a bigger part of the blame for the bad state of the economy. Mr. Lobbo.
Mr. Dennis, here's what I would say to you. It is a responsible thing to say, but in actuality, it really does not make sense. Because you know why? Any smart administrator coming into office, when you inherit an organization and you know that the organization is having problems or were experiencing challenges before you took over, your responsibility and your obligation to that organization is to make it better, right? Your goal there is to be able to transform it. The CDC-led government knew that prior to Madam Salif's departure, the Unity Party-led government of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had recorded budget shortfall in the tune of 30, 35 million, but it had never exceeded 40 million. So what we expected from this government was to be fiscally disciplined, was to be responsible, was to cut wasteful spending. When you incur budget shortfall, what does that mean? It means you did not raise the amount of revenue needed to support your budget. What is a budget? A budget is an estimate of expenditure and income for a set period of time. So why do you come into office? You already know your predecessor recorded budget shortfall, and then you increase wasteful spending. When you took over the country, the budget was under 530 million. Your first year budget was 570 million. The wage bill was 296 million. Your first wage bill was 330 million. So you got to take responsibility and stop making excuses. When John Mogafani took over in Tanzania, his goal was to cut wasteful spending. And he did it. He canceled the Independence Day celebration. He reduced, he said no minister would make more than $5,000. He cut some of his foreign travels, and all ministers would travel economic class. And what happened with the CDC? President, we are continuing to spend lavish day, flying private jets. So that is his fault.
Your time is over. Mr. Gilman.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Again, it's dangerous when you contradict yourself. It's very dangerous. That's the inconsistency in our modern day Liberian advocates. They are so inconsistent such that it's just glaring everywhere. He just told us earlier on that he did not benefit the UP government. He was no part of it, but you just heard him say, our government, the UP government, our government, all right? Joseph Barker, that his uncle. How will he denounce that he didn't benefit when your uncle was vice president who squandered opportunities in the billions of dollars, all right? The information I'm reading out here to you can be found on the State Department website, CIA reports on Liberia, all right? Go there, they are there. I read no numbers here because I have them or I manufacture them. No, okay? They ran a budget just before the government came in. They overspent a $626 million budget by 101 million. Front Page Africa reported that 41 million. All right. Government got no money. George, we are government, got no money. And you said, you're talking about what Salif did when she took over and she was able to manage. What has George Weah done when he took over?
Thank you.
My 2 minutes over?
1 minute, 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Lobbo.
Mr. Dennis, let me say this very clear again. I think this is why many Liberians respect me, and this is why I continue to travel like I do. Mr. Gilman, let me be very clear. Ambassador Joseph Newman Boaka and I have no relationship, no family ties. My name is George Lobbo. His name is Joseph Newman Boaka. And I think it is very, very clear. I did not benefit from the Unity Party government, but I speak as a guy from an institution. I belong to the Unity Party. So when I say our government, it's because it was a UP-led government. And I will not shy away from that. So just for the education. On the issue of the budget, Mr. Gilman, I will be very clear. And I'm not going to waste my time on it, like I said. The Liberian people know the facts. When you took over, the wage bill was 296 million. Your 2018-2019 wage bill was 330 million. Your current wage bill is at 312 million. What you need to do is tell your government to be fiscally disciplined. Tell President Weah to embark on massive wasteful spending cuts and to stop traveling private jets, to stop taking 53 men to China, to stop taking 60 men to Beijing and to Japan, to start wasting taxpayers' money. He is spending recklessly and very much irresponsibly. At this particular point in time, what he needs to do is to embark on massive wasteful spending cuts and redirect some of those resources towards the education and healthcare sector. That is why George Weah should focus on as a pro-poor president, not as a pro-rich president. Liberians are struggling. It baffles me to be sitting here and watch Mr. Gilman continue to spill our lies, run around the place, and I've not yet made a constructive argument on any single topic. But I'll let the Liberian people to judge you. Hopefully, from now on, they will know exactly what they're listening
to. Mr. Lobbo,
type of information.
Thank you. Mr. Gilman, your final rebuttal.
What happened here is, I think my brother does not know numbers. He's talking about numbers and does not know number. George, we are traveling with 60 persons and 40 persons and all of that. It doesn't make sense to me. But here's the thing. He talked about the wage bill from 297 to 330. There were nurses and doctors and medical personnel not on payroll. There were teachers not on payroll. Does it matter when Liberians who were making $40 and now will be making $100, who were making $70 will now be making $100, who were never on payroll, 2,000 medical doctors, and now they will be placed on payroll. Does it matter for us as a people, or we looking at how much they will be paid? These people were there all along, and government did not look at them to include them on the payroll. No, they did not. And today they are there. Doesn't matter when the top echelon salaries are reduced and cut across. Ellen Sirleaf government spent $17 million on operations. All right. This government in their first year spent $1 million. Who did the wasteful spending? Who did it? This government or Sirleaf? 17 million to 1 million. The Senate, the House of Representatives spending 97 million on gas, scratch card, and what have you. This government remains without gas slip, government officials. No new cars in the president's fleet with the ministers. No new cars unless you bought it on your private, but not government cars.
Thank you.
Who's conducting who did more wasteful spending than the other?
Thank you. Now our final on this segment, and we're going to bring in our audience just for 15 minutes so that we can close this as soon as possible. The last one, and this will, Mr. Lobbo, you're going to go first. Crystal Musa.
I went first just now.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Mr. Gilman, you go first.
Yeah.
Crystal Musa is an attention-seeking social media star, and therefore, her allegation or assertions about President Weah and others in his administration should be dismissed.
Absolutely. That is something that I really don't care about. What's done in the dark with your private life, and you decide to come on social media to spill beans or talk about tea leaf and all of that, it's something that we should not condone, we should not practice. Because, after all, everybody have their life to live. All right? I don't know Crystal Musa. I don't know Carrasco. Never met any one of them. George Weah never got 2 feet or 6 feet or 100 yards away from him. Never. But social media is something that we're supposed to be making use of, because the digital footprints that we leave on here come after us later on. All right. That's why I'm careful with what I do on my platform. We don't entertain insults. It's good tonight. But George Lobbo tried to go there, call me a liar, a pathological liar. I would not call him those names. All right. We are holding a conversation. That's what social media does. People want the likes and the viewership. They are not concerned about the information put out there. All right. That's sad for us. So Crystal Musa had her 15 minutes of fame. She got thousands of people viewing her, cursing, insulting. It's not going to put, it's not a bread and butter issue for the Liberian people. It's not.
Thank you. Mr. Lobbo.
Mr. Dennis, here's what I want to say. When you come to power as a government, you are supposed to be an example. When I was growing up as a young man, we aspired to be like a president. We wanted to be like a government official. What happened with Crystal Musa's situation was unfortunate, but we cannot ignore it. That speaks to the recklessness and high level of irresponsible action of our president. Let's speak to that. what Mr. Gilman don't know, the July 26th that President George Weah sent for Crystal, 30,000 Liberians were homeless as a result of flooding in Lower Margibi and parts of Monserrado. President Weah went ahead and spent 500,000. And in that 500,000, part of the money went to bring diplomat Crystal. That in itself speaks to this government irresponsible behavior. So we can't ignore it. When we say this government is reckless and care less about the people, now we know what the government is spending our money on. We know in 2019, July 26th independence, the government spent some 1.5 million again. Who the government sent for? Chemist Best Gallo and D12. What happened in Johnsonville? 5,000 Liberians were homeless as a result of flooding in Johnsonville. Look, listen, this government needs to be responsible. So I get it. What happened in private should be kept in private, but it is necessary for us to know that the government that claims to be broke, that Mr. Gilman is advertising for being poor, that the government is sending for people to come from Norway for merrymaking and for the president's pleasure.
Thank you.
That is why it brought to our attention.
Thank you.
You know, yeah, you know, it's sad, very sad for our country, for us as a people, that we will thrive in falsehood, in lies, no investigation. You heard only Crystal Musa talking, and you believe all of what she said. No chance to say, let me call somebody who might have known something. You didn't do that. But you're talking about the government spent $500,000 for who? Crystal Musa? And others? Are you kidding me? You bring about a video of a flood that happened years ago and try to make it current? Are you shooting me? You see, that's what I talk about from the get-go, that Lobbo would not tell us who he really is, his credentials. Because if you struggle to attain position, level of education, you will be so honest, especially so if you brand yourself, call yourself an advocate. Again, it comes with consistency. It comes with honesty. It comes with leadership. What has he shown here tonight? A leader in lies. All right? Falsehood. I mean, what is this? You believe Crystal Musa because she comes out and just say, oh, Joe, we are sent for me as executive guest. So why you don't believe a Classic D who said, now you gone as executive trash? Did she leave as an executive trash? You believe that? No insult to her, but you have to investigate.
Thank you, Mr. Lobbo. Mr. Lobbo, your turn, your final.
I think Mr. Gilman did not get it. So let me help Mr. Gilman understand what I said. I said in 2018, July 26th, the Liberian government spent 500,000, while 30,000 Liberians were homeless as a result of flooding. That was my statement. So go and do your research. But let me conclude on this conversation. I believe Crystal Musa, against a government that has no credibility, against a government that is notoriously corrupt, a government that infuses 25 million and cannot account for it. I don't know who should trust this government. I mean, a government that is known for lying, a government that has paid agents to misinform the public. That is the government that should have credibility. Here's what I would say, Mr. Dennis. Whatever Crystal said, Crystal did not come there by herself. I think the government is grown enough. The government have institutions responsible to respond if it will lie, for such amount of lies to be allegations to be made against the president of the republic, and not a single statement or comment that is left with the government. At this particular point in time, what I want to say, the office of the presidency, it comes with some moral obligations. It comes with some level of responsibility. And Mr. Gilman, for your history, let me help you again. I want you to call Arizona State University I am the former president. I am responsible for the revitalization of the African Student Association at Arizona State University. When I took over that institution, I bought for them 600,000 insurance. I was the one who signed an agreement to provide temporary employment for African students at that university forever and ever. Yeah, those are some of my accomplishments. So if you want to question it, go to the university. Don't question my leadership.
Thank you. Well, it's been so exciting talking about the issues in this Lincoln-Douglas style debate. It's been wonderful. We will take some time to bring in some of our viewers. And viewers, when I bring you in, we're going to post the number shortly. You are going to call the name of the person you are directing the question to and ask the question directly. And you have just 30 seconds. But before we go to that, let me share a quick commercial break. Let me a quick commercial break. If I can get that break. But before that, let me play this song. Tomorrow, Saturday, the Liberian Nurses Association USA cordially invites you to its first benefit dinner. And the purpose of this dinner is to build a maternity waiting house in Zozo, Lofa County. So if you're interested, please call Mrs. Amelia Togba Ade. Her number is 678-472-6018. And it's $25 admission. You can also, if you're not coming, you can send the money through Zelle and they will gladly receive it. What you see there, there's a new book being written by Dr. Amos Zumo. It's entitled Where There Is No Neurologist. And this book is mainly about epilepsy, something like that. And let me read the abstract. It says, over a period of, this presentation will compare the management and social milieu of patients with neurologic diseases in a resource and infrastructure poor tropical nation with no local neurologists, and the consequent quality of care and accessibility to medications through the lens of the diagnosis. So what Mr. or Dr. Zomo has done is talk about epilepsy. So if you have no neurologist in a place, how to go about what you can do. On a personal note, I've just lost a cousin to this debilitating disease of epilepsy. And this is very dear to me. So please contact Dr. Sumo, and we're going to have that book shortly. This is a song by Minister Tai Chia, telling God, thank you. And no matter what the situation is, we want to say, thank you, God. Whether you call your God Nyeswa, or Glipo, or Gala, or Wra, or Allah, let's say thank you. Now we have a caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Terry calling from Minnesota.
Say that again.
Terry calling from Minnesota.
Terry, your question.
Yeah, my question goes to Mr. Lobbo, and my question has to do with the extra printing of the Liberian dollars, whether if it was done by the previous government, any justice and whether if it did not affect our economy presently.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next caller, your name and where you calling from?
Bernice, can I get a pen, Bernice?
Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Can I get a pen and piece of paper? Let me write this question down.
All right, that caller is connected, but we are not. Okay, caller is trying to call again. Hello? Hello, caller? All right. Mr. Lobbo, that question was for you concerning the printing of the banknotes from the previous administration.
Let me ask, here's what I want to say very clear. It is true the banknotes were printed by the former government. But what happened was, Mr. Dennis, is simple. This is something that the central bank will always do, all right? And if we, according to the testimony of the central bank governor, Governor Wisi said that when he asked Madam Salif, she told him that if it meet the approval of the legislature, they go ahead and print the new notes. Now he printed, according to the report, excess amount of banknotes. Now, normally when a country prints money, there's a reason why the country don't just take the money and dash it in the market or put it in circulation. The central bank has a system by which they infuse the money into the economy. That is to make sure that they control the flow of money. That is a monetary policy action. What we saw with this government, it is true the money was printed by the previous government, but the money is yet to be accounted for. So how the money was infused in circulation, that is one of the reasons why we see the rate up today, because there's excess amount of Liberian on the market. Now, when Governor Picho told us that the money was in the vault, less than 2 months later, we saw the finance minister saying there were more Liberian dollars on the market. Now, my question was simple. How did the Liberian dollar get on the market? Because when we listen to the central bank, in 2015, 5.5 billion was printed. And Governor Weiss testified before Congress that the 5.5 billion that were printed, it took them from 2015 up to 2016. They infused 2.5 billion rather. And the remaining extra 2.5 billion was put back in the central bank. So my question to you, if it took them 1 year to infuse 2.5 billion, how is it possible that money that arrived in November of 2017 and that cleared the port in February of 2018, February and March, that some 10 billion were just infused in the economy like that? Does that make sense to us? That is why, for me, I've been very, very clear. We need a criminal investigation by an independent body to tell us exactly what happened to that money. The report makes it clear that the documentation presented showed a lot of inconsistency. And for me, I want to be very clear. I have no mercy for anybody who decide to rob the Liberian people. So in as much as they did it and it was wrong, I want them to be held accountable. But they will not be held accountable if an independent body does not investigate this. That is my take on it.
Thank you. Another call on the line?
Can I respond to that?
No, the question was for me, sir.
Let me get this question. This person.
Mr. Dennis.
I will come to you. There was my phone was giving trouble. I will come to you with that question. And the time is 1 minute. Call out your name and where you calling from.
Mr. Dennis.
Just hold on. Let me get this call out.
You want to part the questions? After if the question directed at him or me, he has a chance to respond. I have a chance to respond.
That is true. Let me take one more call.
That's not what I was
having issue with the phone.
Okay.
Go ahead with your question. 30 seconds.
My name is Kev Hassan, and my question is to Mr. George Lobbo. He talk about if Sierra Leone had an economic dialogue. I wonder if he understands what the Intumani 3 was. It was reconciliation and economic dialogue. It's called Intumani 3, so he needs to go. And 2, the Crystal Musa incident. Some of us are fortunate to have seen some of her texts to government officials. So Mr. Lobbo don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, your question, please. Question quick. 30 seconds.
My question is about the Bitumani 3.
Okay.
About the dialogue.
Thank you.
The what? I didn't get a question clearly. 1, 3. Okay, let me here's how I respond to that. Let me be very clear. What I have said, and I want to be very clear. We have not seen the UNDP host an economic dialogue for Sierra Leone. President Julius Manambio is delivering. That is my position. Okay. Whatever other programs that have been brought out, it has not gone into effect. Give me the date and time where Sierra Leone have hosted an economic dialogue that Liberia is having now, where all stakeholders were invited. That is my point. And when Nana Addo Kufuor took over, Ghana's economy was struggling. We did not see the UNDP go to Ghana to host an economic conference. Ghana have the fastest growing economy. Those were points I was trying to make, sir.
Thank you.
That's what I was saying.
And then the last caller for before Mr. Gilman coming. Call out your name and where you calling from. 30 seconds. Your question.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, my name is Prince M. Sharif. Sat quietly and listening to the individuals in studio. Yeah. And I think Mr. Gilman make my day.
Okay. Your question, 30 seconds.
Yes, sir. It is unfortunate that my brother Lobbo will use this platform and spill mis and disinformation. You do not even know that after the war, the conference that was held in Ghana for this issue of, turning Liberia to a kind of democratic nation, the RCC, that is the International Contact Group on Liberia, decided to have a conference to be able to revitalize Liberia economy. That particular conference brought what we call the entire international community that led to today what we have the Gilman Ellen Johnson Celebia.
Do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. I just want to lead
no premise. Let's do 30 seconds. We don't have a sophisticated system here, and we have a lot of people calling. 30 seconds, please.
Yeah. Mr. Lobbo and others had this particular long listing of demand from the Council of Patriarch or whatever they call themselves. And in this particular long listing of demand, they demanded that something should be done with the economy, the new resuscitation. Now that this government have taken this step to call people on board
I'm sorry, Prince.
Don't you think it is important?
I have to go to the next caller. I'm sorry.
Can I respond to the question?
My last question, my last caller. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
My name is Ben and I'm calling from Minnesota.
Okay, go ahead with your question. 30 seconds, just a question.
Okay, yeah. My first question is to Mr. Lobbo. Were you ever part of any of the opposition groups right after the election? Were you ever part of any of them?
Were you part of any during the election?
Yeah. And my next question to Mr. Gilman is that, so who were paying those people who were not included on the payroll at the time of Ellen Johnson?
Say that again.
So Mr. Gilman talked about some people that were added to the payroll.
Okay.
Who were paying them during the Ellen?
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gilman, those people that were added to the payroll, who was paying them under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? And
right. Would I have my time to report to the 2 times Lobbo was asked question?
Yes.
No, the questions were.
He can. No, go ahead, Mr. Gilman.
Don't behave like you don't know the debate. A question can be posed to a candidate on the floor, and another person can jump in and try to answer because you.
Go ahead, Mr. Gilman.
You distorted the information. Okay, first and foremost, the caller that just called, those folks were being paid by NGOs, and the NGOs withdrew they left, and so they were taking off payroll. They were not getting any money. Secondly, Lobbo, yes, I saw that report that you were a student leader for the African students at Arizona State University. But because you stayed there over 12 years, when not graduate, you were forced out of that position. You were forced out of there. You did not graduate. You did not even get an associate from there. You can't get 62 credits to graduate. Secondly, on the issue of the 18.6 billion that came in 2016 up to December 22nd, 2016, a total of 5.1 billion came in. All right. Under the George Weah government, out of the 18 billion, under the George Weah government, in January 25th, 2018, a total of 3.6 billion came in. February 8th, 2018, 1.4 billion. All right. That were clear March 28th. We saw that memo that floated around. So the monies were brought in under Ellen Sirleaf's time. George Lobbo, Uncle Vice President Boakar's time. They squandered the opportunities that were allotted to them, such that they blew up the economy from $5.28 billion or $1 million reserve to $150. All right. You see it there. They blew up $626 million a budget. They overspent by 101 million. All right. These are folks with Harvard-trained education. Though he lying here that he got an associate from Phoenix Community College, whatever. What did he do? An associate, and up to now, after 12 years at Arizona State, you can't graduate. An associate.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gilman. Let me take my last caller. Caller,
No,
your name.
No, listen, Mr. Dennis, I got to respond because I
will come back to you. Let me take my last caller.
Okay, let me address that.
I just been in trouble. I want to make some clarity on this Lumuga statement. He's been sitting down here misinforming the people who are not informed, that they take the story from them to carry out there. They depend on what comes from their mouth. That's how they have been succeeding in spreading lies. This guy is defending Unity Party government, a government that allocated.
Do you have a caller? Do you have a question?
No, I want to make a statement. I want to make a statement to Lumbo.
Okay, 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Unity Party government allocated budget for executive mansion renovation for 12 years. It's executive mansion renovated. Eden Johnson government was considered and described by Transparency International as the most corrupt country in the world. Under Eden government, Transparency International ranked as the most corrupt country in the world. Joseph Waka admitted on debate stage that is squander opportunity. Eden also admitted that she has vampires, that she was not able to contain corruption to core of government. Why would this guy sit there and mislead the Liberian people?
Thank you.
We have $4.6 billion that disappeared.
Thank you.
By the government, that the other report from GSC and LSC is showing right now.
Thank you.
This guy is lying to the Liberian people. And for secondly, he's boasting of education. He does not know subject and that agreement.
Thank you, caller.
He saying he don't know. He doesn't know.
What's your name? What's your name again?
My name is Medicine Yado from New Jersey.
Thank you.
All right, can I respond now?
Yes.
All right. Once again, I've been very, very clear here today, and I've said consistent. Mr. Gilman, since you need to understand and you want me to help you, I will do it, sir. I told you I obtained an associate degree in 2012. In 2013, May 10th, I came back in March because to get a diploma from Phoenix College. By 2013, I transferred to ASU. Mr. Gilman, my private life has nothing to do with discussing the issue. The reason why up to now I remain a graduating senior was because of personal reasons. I know for you, this is your result. I will not bring my family conversation here, but I will say to anybody, in 2012, if you want to check the records, Mr. Gilman, when I was at the community college, I paid my tuition out of my pocket. I came to this country as a young man, as a refugee, never having aid from anybody. No uncle, no auntie to stop with. Every single thing I earn in this country, I work for it. And I want you to understand the number of people that I've been able to impact in Liberia is because I work to do it. And if you believe that that's what you want to resort to, just to help you with some math, I transferred to ASU in 2013. If I transfer to the university from Phoenix College, you need to obtain an associate to transfer. So there's in no way you sit here and say, I don't have an associate. The university will not accept you to transfer without obtaining 64 credits. So that's another lie. Let's leave it. But let me help you. I transferred in 2013. Mr. Gilman, I'm a self-supported young man in this country. I do not have a father to support me. And I'm proud of where I'm at. And your degrees you have, you justify your degree. And I've told the Liberian people that think about it. A graduating senior can be able to hold you and disgrace you in such public manner. Think about what it means if George was black.
Thank you, Mr. Lobbo.
I have 2 classes. That's what I did.
Thank you.
Okay? Let me help Mr. Gilman. And from 2013 to 2019, it's not 12 years, Gilman. Get your math straight.
Mr. Lobbo.
2013 to 2019, it's not 12 years. Get the math right.
All right, thank you. Let me bring in the last 2 callers and then to end this segment of the debate. Caller, your name and where you calling from.
Don't I need to respond?
We'll come to you after my two.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Caller, let's go straight to your question, please. 30 seconds.
Hello?
Hello, go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, go ahead with your question, please. Hello, caller? Okay, let me go to the next.
Dennis, how more time?
Caller, your name and where you calling from? Ooh. Caller, go ahead, your name? Oh, God. Caller, go ahead, your name and where you calling from? Hello? All right. Caller, your name and where you calling from? Okay. Hello, caller? Hello? Nothing is working, guys. Caller, go ahead, your name and where you calling from? Hello? Okay.
Dennis, yeah. There's no way that we can.
Mr. Gilman, respond. We are about to close it. We have 5 more minutes. After your.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, hold on. I'm getting the caller now. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead. Hello? Yes, go ahead. Okay. Please post your question to Facebook. I think we're turning the phone off. It's not working.
Right.
Go ahead, Mr. Gilman.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, when you hear George Lobbo talk about the government is corrupt and they are not trusted. You want me to hold on?
I said 1 minute.
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead. You have 1 minute.
Oh. Yeah, when you hear him talk about the government is not trusted, nobody will trust the government, then it just puts me in that frame of mind to say, what sort of advocates are these? Dishonest people, dishonest advocates? We got within the last 12 days, the international community, countries, World Banks, or ECOWAS Bank have just in grant and loan given this country, this government, $338 million. A government that these folks are complaining that they are corrupt. $338 million. Who gives that amount of money to a corrupt institution, to a corrupt government? I thought people reward good for good. Is that is it bad for evil, bad for good now? No, it's not the case. All right. George Lobbo, I'm not being personal with you. I'm only trying to tell you what you say about people, about this government, this president, that he's dull, he's inept, he's corrupt, is what I'm saying about you. You cannot continue. 2012, let me give it to you that you graduated 2012. So up to now, you still graduating senior. You and Martin Colley the same way. You got under two credits left to graduate. Is that why you're trying to tell us here tonight?
Thank you.
Do I respond to him? Because he just had some lies real quick.
Please go ahead. I think we are leaving the issues now and going to different things, but go ahead.
Let me respond, then we can go because he started. Let me say this to you real quick.
But I was responding to him, so you're going to give me another chance again?
No, you have your 1 minute, so stop it.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Lobbo.
Let me say this real clear to you. It is very important that the Liberian people begin to understand the people they listen to. The people will be able to judge for themselves. When I say this government is corrupt, Mr. Gilman is a liar, I'm serious. Mr. Gilman just told us that in the last 12 days, the CDC government received some 320 million. A government that received 312 million will now be begging the legislature to allow them to spend 47.5 million. That in itself shows that the government is irresponsible, because the government was supposed to pass the budget, and the budget cycle should have started July 1st. So I don't know where Mr. Gilman getting his numbers from, but I will not get into that. I want to say very clear, Mr. Gilman, I've been very consistent in what I have to say at this particular point in time. Just for future reference, the next time you come to such a disco, do yourself a favor and read. Do yourself a favor and come prepared. To be honest, I had tremendous amount of respect for you. But after your performance tonight, I can now leave this stage and tell the Liberian people, and those who listen to Gilman, I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
May the peace of the God be with you.
Thank you, Mr. Lobbo. Let me take my call up. The phone was giving trouble. Caller, go ahead with your question, 30 seconds.
Yeah, I have two questions for Mr. Lobbo. My first question is to Mr. Lobbo. Can he please tell I say like United citizen under the Unity Party government how much the minister was making for the past 12 years? That's my first question. My second question to Mr. Lobbo is, as a patriotic Liberian citizen, can he please tell the Liberian how many manufacturers or jobs that Marcellus created of the Unity Party government created that they left and George Weah government came to power, those manufacturing companies broke down.
Thank you.
No job under the past 12 years. That's my question.
Thank you. Mr. Lobbo, how much was you heard the question? Go ahead.
Let me answer the question very, very frank. We know that there have been increment in salary over time. So I will not give a number and start lying before they say George lied. But I know according to the CDC government, I can only give you what the total wage bill was. We know that when in 2006, when Gossip Gafon was finance minister, even lawmakers were making 5,000. Their salary increased. There were different ways that Ellen Johnson's elite government has structured salary, which the finance minister alluded to. That there were people making salaries and people were getting something called general allowances. I do not have the real breakdown to give you that number before I misinform the people. I will not do that. Now let's come to the issue of jobs. You refer to how many manufacturing jobs Ellen government created. It is true that under the Ellen Johnson's elite government, manufacturing jobs were not created. But let's look at the jobs. The St. Darby plantation was established. The Acel Mentor was there. Now the Channel Union was there. We saw many logging companies established. So those were jobs created. Since Ellen left power, what is happening now? We are seeing most of these companies under George Weah poor leadership, wanting to leave, reducing or laying off staff because of George Weah weak leadership. And that is very, very clear. I think the Liberian people should attest to that. I don't have to give facts on that. I don't even have to go back and forth. Let's look at the economy. If those companies were working, if they were doing well, George Weah would have been able to raise revenue. The government would have been able to survive. So it is very, very clear on that notion.
Thank you. My last caller. I keep saying
let me respond. I gotta respond. Mr. Dennis.
Yeah, just hold on. Let me take this caller.
No, then you will give instead of me having my full time, you're gonna give me a less time. Now, two questions.
Hold on.
Dennis, Mr. Ja.
I know the phone is giving me trouble here, so that's
why I should respond.
Hello.
Hello, caller. Go ahead.
I have a question. Yes, I have a question for Michael Gilman.
Okay, go ahead. 30 seconds.
Yes, Mr. Gilman, we know the focus on Africa to be a show of integrity and credibility.
What caller? What's your name?
Caller, your name and where you calling from?
My name is Prince Williams, and I'm calling from Johnson City, Tennessee.
Prince William from Johnson City. Your question quickly, please. 30 seconds.
My question for Mr. Gilman. We know focus on Africa to be a credible show of integrity and credibility, and we come here to be able to have a discussion on national issues and to look at facts and not just fiction. Or you seem to be diminishing this integrity of this show to personal attack. What does personal attack on Mr. Lobbo have to do with the issue that our country is faced with, how we can adequately address it? And Mr. Host, let's bring people out here who will discuss the issue, not people who will be marketing their simplicity, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Respond to that, and then you respond to Mr. Lobbo.
Thank you very much. And Prince William, you used to be a frequent caller on the Judea High Talk show, on video and on telephone. But from the time we educated you about your political leader, Alexander Cummings, that he graduated from CWA, and you wrote and said he graduated from Demonstration High School. Ever since you were corrected, you refused to come back because it showed your limitation. And that's what you just showed here, your simplicity and limitation. And that's why you just showed here tonight again. All right, we are discussing national issues. You guys have always said, Lobbo have always said, the president is dull. Has he shown any brilliance here? Has he shown one? Let's go to the issue. Forget about Prince William here. Lobbo talked about the caller that called about what was the salaries of the Ellen Sirleaf government ministers. Have George Weah increased anybody's salaries? He inherited these elephant-looking like salaries in the thousands of dollars, and he's struggling to reduce those salaries. And Lobbo is telling you today that he does not know how much ministers were making during the Sirleaf time, but he wants salaries reduced, right? You see the irony? You see the inconsistency? And that's what Prince Sherry want to come talk about. I have reduced this esteem platform. I think I've lowered myself to George Lobbo a sense of lies, because I have to continuously correct him and put him on check on here all through the night. You know, nothing he said. All right. He talked about 320 million. I did not say 320 million. You got to listen again and listen well. I said 338 million. All right. The government is asking the legislature constitutionally to approve another 112 of the proposed budget to be expended. And then you say the government is a dictator, right? But they're doing the right thing, and then you call them dictator. How is that possible? That's what the law says. Not because they got loan to come for Southeastern Road, $100 million from ECOWAS Bank, another 44 million from UNDP, another 144 million from the Indian government, another 50 million from World Bank. And then they will just take the money and start dividing it, and you call them dictators.
Can I respond?
We're about to close the broadcast. You will respond in your final. Let me get my last caller. Caller, your name and where you calling from. 30 seconds.
Yeah, this is Alex Jones calling from Tampa, Florida.
Alex, your question.
Well, I just want to make a comment. First of all, I want to commend these two fine gentlemen. It was a very spirited debate.
And these are the kind of debates that our leaders and our opposition should be holding to inform the Liberian people. So regardless of what people may think of each of you guys are both winner, because our government and officials and our politicians, commies, and if ministries, they don't come onto these shows. They don't express their views. So thank you so much. I enjoyed the debate, and hats off to you guys. And thank you, Mr. Dennis, for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Who was that caller?
Alex Jones.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Alex.
All right. So let's wrap this up. I know it's been a spirited debate. We are going to 2 hours, so we want to use the last 5 minutes so that you can wrap up your final thoughts. And we will, and if need be, we can do this again, but let's end tonight.
Absolutely.
So Mr. Lobbo, let's 2 minutes wrap up.
I was the one who introduced himself first.
I thought you wanted to say something last.
First, I introduced myself first.
Okay, Mr. Gilman.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Jai and your team at Focus on Liberia. I want to say thanks to the viewers on here tonight. Those of you came from all over the world that saw this spirited conversation. I don't call it a debate. It's a conversation that we held on here tonight. Thanks to George Lobbo for trying so hard to try to make the lies look like they are truthful, but they were debunked on here tonight. Our country is at a crossroads. We that look at ourselves as advocates for the people, we have an obligation to doing the right thing diligently. We cannot spill our lies, innuendos, falsehood, and claim to be leaders of the people because we can reach them anytime, anyhow, through social media. We should use social media for the good of our country, not to bring our country down. Others are making their country prosper from social media. We are using social media to bring our country down. Again, an advocate must be consistent. You must be honest. You must show leadership. Anything short of those three, you are a fraudster. You are fraudulent. And I've seen it so many times in our today's Liberian advocates. They are inconsistent. They are fraudulent. They use whatever means, the blackmail, all right, every day. And this is sad. We cannot continue on this path. I came to these debates or these conversations on here tonight simply because I hold a view and conviction that we must have the black and white keys to have harmony. We cannot just sit within our circles and hold these conversations and think we are making headways. We need to get out there. And that's why I came out here to hold this conversation with my little brother, George P. Lobbo. All right. Against some of the folks that follow us that come to our show, well-meaning people say, you're going to lower yourself to go and hold a conversation with George Lobbo. And I said, no, regardless of the situation, we need it. We have to correct these lies that are being told. And you just saw it here. 12 years in Arizona State University. Does not have a degree. He called himself graduating senior. Well, we're looking for those 2 credit hours to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lobbo, 2 minutes. Your final thoughts.
Let me begin by saying, Dennis, thank you for the opportunity to support us of the draft, to well-wishers, to Liberians across the political spectrum. I want to say thanks to all of you. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for being understanding. I know how some of you felt at home, especially when you know the facts and you are sitting and watching someone lie in your face with no remorse. I know how painful it is. As I'm sitting here, I was feeling your pain. Having said that, no amount of lies will change the situation on the ground. Mr. Gilman can spill all he wants. can continue to lie and misinform our people. The US rate as we speak is above $210 to a dollar. Inflation is above 23%. Nurses, teachers are crying because of the wage harmonization. The economy is in the garbage. President Weah have admitted that he has no solution. He is hoping the economic dialogue will bring solution. I come to these discourse to expose pay agents, sellouts, liars like Gilman and the many others. It is good that Prince Sherry had the opportunity to come in. These are the folks. This is what I've done consistently. Mr. Gilman, before I leave, I will give you my ID number. My MLS ID number, which is my license ID number to do mortgage in the United States, is 1445257. That is my license ID number. It's called MLS ID. Look it up. That will tell you my position at Wells Fargo when I was there. As a matter of fact, I start a new job on Monday, so we'll not get to that. But once again, I've been very, very consistent. Liberia is struggling. The country needs leadership. There is a leadership vacuum at home. For folks like Gilman who continue to misinform our people, such crime will not go unnoticed. History will judge you. You can claim whatever glory you want. The records will be clear. The Liberian people that watch this debate, they will decide our fate. And the truth must be told. And I want to say to all you Liberians, regardless of what party you support, you need to pay attention to the folks you listen to. Because there are folks who are dedicated, who are committed to misinforming, to lying to you. And Gilman is no exception to being one of those guys. And thank God today that I had an opportunity. This was not a Jida hot talk show where you control the narrative, where you were screaming above me and back and forth. I'm glad to have had the opportunity to have embarrassed you and expose you. And thank God that had been done. My mission was accomplished. And to all the supporters of the draft that came along to follow, and to all other Liberians, I want to say thank you. God bless you. God bless the Republic.
Thank you. I really want to thank the two of you from the bottom of my heart for coming, for honoring our invitation to come here and discuss pertinent issues to our country. We want to thank our viewers who have patiently waited for this to come on. We had some technical difficulties from the start, but we appreciate your time so much. This should not be the end. We should continue to have these dialogues so that we engage one another. We all love our country and we want the best for our country. I like your passion and I like how you are very conversant with issues affecting our country. Thanks again, and thanks to all those who supported on behalf of my co-host, my guest relations manager, and all those that have helped with this debate. Special thanks to Mr. John Singbe in Morocco. He's a debate guru. He has helped in putting this together. We want to say thanks to everybody, to all our supporters. Continue to watch Focus on Liberia. We come to you live every Sunday at 6 p.m. This weekend, on Sunday, we're going to have Dr. Herbert Brewer and Mrs. Cotto Reed Williams discussing class structure in Liberia. On Monday, we're going to have economist Samuel P. Jackson to discuss the Monrovia Stock Exchange. Thanks again for coming. Good night.
Thank you.
And God bless you.